I actually do have a theory, man, on the that when it
Wait a minute.
says that God created the firmament to split the waters from above and below. I actually follow, like I said, I'm Nikola Tesla's electric universe theories. Our current day scientists will tell you that space is a void, right? I don't believe it's a void. I think it's a substance. I think it's the ether, right? And I think the ether
Okay.
that this like I said, just talking here. I think the ether actually is some type of liquid substance that is in space, right? So I do believe that. I do. You make some great points, but I also do. I have a personal experience. I'm gonna that gives me pause on it. And another thing too, I like having conversations where I can go away and I can think. So next time we talk, I can be like, "Hey, look, man, I thought about this thought or whatever." That when I was stationed in Diego Garcia for a year. I don't know if you're familiar with that island or not, but it's in the middle of the Indian Ocean. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's actually a rim
Oh,
of an extinct volcano. It's an atoll actually. And something happened and I had to fly off Diego Garcia. And I took off from Diego Garcia and I flew up to get off Diego Garcia. You had to fly to Singapore. That was the onboarding and offboarding airport, right? So I flew from Diego Garcia to Singapore, from Singapore to Japan, from Japan to LA, from LA to Philly, from Philly to Germany, from Germany to Italy, from Italy to Bahrain, from Bahrain back down to Singapore, and then Singapore flew south back down to Diego Garcia. That was the flight path that went around, right?
wow.
And so yeah, so my question is when I so I actually do believe that the firmament I do believe the earth is a globe, but I do believe that the firmament is over the globe. I never thought about your flood reference though before because that makes a lot of sense. I mean, that makes me think like, man, what yeah, what is that, right? Like so like the fishbowl thing, right?
Yeah.
So but then when I think about that is that I do also believe that we can't get off I so the atmosphere, right, is made up of the ionosphere, the stratosphere, and the troposphere in some specific order, right? And I do believe that, and also they say that there's this big giant radiation belt that surrounds the Earth. I do not think Elon Musk. We will never go to Mars. We'll never. There was a time I actually put in to be on that Mars program. Like I would go, right? I put a thing in to say like I would go and not come back, right? But I don't believe that, man. So I don't believe that we can escape the earth. And your thing about that Operation Fishbowl, that is 100% military thinking right there, right? Like,
Yeah.
how high can we lob this up before it bangs off? We're like basically skipping rocks. Another
Yeah.
thing too, this gives me pause as well, man, is that like, or just not a pause, it's just a question, is that I know that when you go to sniper school in the military or I've never been in the army one, but and the Marine Corps has that used to have the scout snipers as well is that when you get out past like 750, I think feet or yards or whatever, you have to start putting in the calculation for the drift and the drop. You have to start putting in the calculation of the curvature of the Earth. I don't like this. Is just things that just pop into my
Not
head,
the
bro.
it's not
Yeah.
the curvature. What you're speaking about is the Coriolis effect.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
what
Correct.
this is, so one thing about the Coriolis effect that we need to understand is if that is true, if we have the bullet going and now there's now the Earth is spinning and we need to have Coriolis, how come we can't take a helicopter and fly it up in the air with 24 hours of fuel and the Earth spins underneath it? How come that doesn't happen?
That's actually a good point, right? Yeah, that's a good point, man. So for people who never don't have a lot of
Like,
experience with firearms or shooting in the military, it's called the drift, which is the left and the right and the drop, right?
yes,
When you're taking a shot at a certain distance,
yeah,
you have to calculate the drift and the drop. That's actually a good point, man. And the bullet is spinning and it's called the
so
Coriolis effect, right? Yeah.
so are they saying that the Earth is spinning underneath the bullet and you have to account for that? That's what the Coriolis is supposedly
Yeah.
the effect.
Right.
So if that effect is true with an object flying through the sky, why is it not true for a plane? And
Right.
why is it not true for a helicopter? Because if a helicopter went up with 24 hours of fuel, then it should be, and if it stayed in the same spot, then the Earth should rotate underneath it, and then it should come back to that same point. you would never. And then if you're flying an airplane and the Earth is spinning underneath you, then you should be going one way and you should be able to get there faster. And the other way, if you're chasing it, then you're never going to get there, or you'll probably get there as long as you're moving faster than 1,000 miles an hour. No. What happens is the Earth is spinning with the plane, supposedly, and and that's what's supposedly happening. So you're landing on a runway. Earth is, they say that first of all, look at all the flight manuals. What does it say? Fly like you're flying on a non-rotating flat Earth. That's what it says. Fly like it's non-rotating, fixed, immovable, like the Bible says. When you're, so I just want to say this. If you have to have Coriolis for a shooting bullet, then you need to have Coriolis for a flying airplane and a flying helicopter as well.
Oh, man.
That's not, why do you have that for a bullet but not have it for the helicopter and the airplane? That would be my question back. And also, I've never been taught about Coriolis effect in the Army. I've never been taught that. And if you talk to a lot of snipers, someone will say that they don't adjust for that's not true. No. Some people will say that we do adjust for it. So I'm not saying that we don't adjust for it, or they probably put it in the calculation, and I don't believe that it should affect the bullet because it doesn't affect the plane, it doesn't affect the helicopter. But any other questions?
No, but you're on. I had a jarhead tell me that they didn't start teaching the Coriolis effect until after 9/11. Sniper schools that's what he was telling me, right? It's because I guess
it's probably true because dude, I mean, that's when all the conspiracies started becoming really popular and everybody started studying crazy stuff.
He was telling me that he was an old school scout sniper, and he was just saying that literally they would just tell you, man, like the whole math thing. They were like, no, it was more of a feel, right? I mean, so people who don't know, man, if you can follow basics instructions, man, they will teach you how to bullseye something at 400 in basic training, right? Like they'll teach you. It's not that hard once you become
400 meters.
Yeah, sorry.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.